Hello and welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this edition, visiting IMF team begins engagement with government on the economy and the 2025 budget. From today, we'll be having a conversation with an economist about the key areas for discussion. Also in this bulletin, President John Mahama likely to nominate a new first deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana this week. Plus, demand for Treasury bills continues to surge as interest rates fall for the second consecutive week. We have details of this and more lined up for you. Please stay. Grateful serving you. I am Pius Kojo Baka. President John Mahama is likely to nominate a new first deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana this week, following the exit of Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afare. More in this report.
This is what we have picked up from persons with knowledge about the operations of the Bank of Ghana and happenings at the presidency. The appointment of this first deputy governor could secure the blessings of the Council of State soon in the coming days. This is because there are strong indications the Council of State could begin work immediately after the elections this week. It could also pave the way for Dr. Johnson Isiami's nomination to be approved as well. Sources say President John Mahama could name someone from the Bank of Ghana as the new first deputy governor. The second deputy governor, Dr. Elsie Adoawaji, has also announced that she is taking an early retirement from the Bank of Ghana on February 28. Based on the time that she was appointed, her contract should be ending next year. At a meeting with President John Mahama last week, she personally informed the president about this decision. We, however, are not sure for now whether President John Mahama will also nominate a second deputy governor to replace Dr. Elsie Adoawaji.
The visiting IMF team will today begin a series of meetings with government officials on the economy and the 2025 budget. George Yafe has more on other areas the team will cover during the visit.
The team should be in town for about 5 days with issues about the economy dominating discussions. They'll also be trying to get some clarity over how government intends to fill the revenue hole following proposals to remove some taxes like the e-levy, betting tax and COVID-19, which is expected to result in government losing more than 10 billion Ghana cedis every year. Again, what should be the way forward when it comes to dealing with the energy sector challenges, especially when it comes to reducing the more than $2 billion debt? The IMF is worried about this development because of its impact on the overall debt stock of the country and the IMF program going forward. This visit should also help the IMF bring some finality with proposals by government to extend the fund program. The IMF also wants to use this visit to ensure that whatever that is captured in the 2025 budget is in line with the broader IMF program for the country.
All right, so let's have a discussion on the back of this development. Joining us via Zoom is economist Professor Lord Mensah. Pleasure you could join us here on Business Live. Let's first talk about Ghana's program, of course, with the IMF and, of course, the policy direction for 2025 budget. How would you describe our progress so far?
Yeah, I would say so far so good. I think the trajectory expected of the program, we seem to be hitting it. And if you look at the numbers as per the program, looking at the inflation numbers, we've been able to, bring it down. I mean, as time goes on, and then also interest rate structures within the economy gradually, coming down. We've seen some, relatively kind of stability when it comes to the exchange rate. And so I would say what is expected of the program, we seem to be getting it. But then how to sustain it is where the problem is. And hopefully, going forward, I think sitting with the government together, and of course, it's a new government. Once there's a change in government, we expect policy directions to change. And so with IMF coming in, obviously, there's going to be understanding and a kind of a convergent point where we want to look at how the economy should go. But, from where I sit, I think the current administration may not overemphasize on revenue generation. As they've given the signal of cutting down some, expenditure lines. But then they may be looking at expenditure cut. And we are looking at one objective. Once you look at expenditure and revenue for a nation, the objective is to reduce budget deficit. A reduction of budget deficit, whichever direction you look at it, whether you're going to increase revenue or you're going to look at, reducing expenditure, it's one objective. So I think the current administration is looking at, emphasizing on, expenditure cuts. And that is why, you can see from the various instructions that are being given by the president, and then also the number of ministers that have been appointed. And from all indications, government also rejecting some Treasury bill offers, as of today. And so clearly it tells you that, yes, it's a government that is ready to cut down expenditure, approaching the budget deficit reduction through the expenditure lines rather than using, taxes and levies.
Well, at least other areas we are learning, which of course will be of great concern to the fund and the government, for that matter, are revenue administration reforms, the energy sector reforms, energy expenditure rationalization, and monetary and exchange rate policy. And this, of course, isn't surprising. Your take on these areas?
Well, it's not surprising. I think we seem to be operating a free market, hands on our exchange rate regimes. But then once in a while, you see Bank of Ghana coming with, some kind of regulations here and there to tame down, the exchange rate. So you ask yourself, what kind of exchange rate, management program are we into? Are we into the market-oriented, exchange rate program, or are we into, kind of a controlled regime, kind of, exchange management? But then it gets confusing and as to how we should look at it. But if the government is coming up with a policy to tame down, exchange rate and all those, I think, it's in a good direction.
And we also understand other key institutions like the Bank of Ghana, the Ghana Revenue Authority, and the Controller and Accountant General's Department will be meeting the fund. And I'm wondering, what's the essence of that?
Yeah, it is very, very important. You see, we are looking at Ghana having a negotiation with IMF, and then sometimes we present the finance minister and we think that is it. But if you look at the finance ministry's, responsibilities, GRA plays a very, very important role when it comes to revenue generation. Bank of Ghana may be important because of the, monetary policy aspect of it. Because if, government is not able to generate enough revenue, government is going by, revenue cut through tax cut and all those. And then the Bank of Ghana is controlling money supply and other things in the economy. And it turns out that they are not in sync with each other. Obviously, we have been complaining about, how the Bank of Ghana has been, operating in isolations from the fiscal side of the economy. So if the GRA is performing the fiscal role of the economy by, raising revenue, and then the Bank of Ghana is playing the monetary role, obviously bringing them together to face the fund is very, very important to appreciate how, the two policies must go together to ensure that we get the various targets that will make the economy better.
All right, so for you, after the end of this engagement with the fund, what are your expectations after the 4-day engagement?
Well, like I said earlier, we're already in a certain trajectory, and I don't think the fund will, I'm expecting anything, that is going to change. I think the government has made it clear that they may request for extension of the program, but I don't think we may need it for now, because looking at the momentum we've gathered, if we stick to the discipline under the IMF program after this program, we should be able to meet the target and then also run the economy to a level where all the indicators will perform to the benefit of businesses, individuals, and the government itself.
As we wrap up the conversation, we understand President Mahama is likely to nominate a new first deputy governor for the central bank this week. What are you looking forward to?
Well, I mean, they should be able to bring someone on board, someone who understands, the system very well, someone who understands banking operations, someone who understands what it means to, to ensure that the central bank sits, to make sure the economy runs well. Because, the central bank plays a major role when it comes to, controlling of money supply. I mean, ensuring that government business goes on very well. And so if, we turn up to bring people who have, question marks and credibility around, their behavior, it becomes a problem. So I think the president would be able to identify the right person, because we cannot dissociate the personality when it comes to, the central bank, because, we call something reputational risk. One thing that a bank can suffer, which is difficult to redeem, is what we call a reputational risk. And if it turns out to be, something that would, affect the central bank, then dealing with the central bank becomes a problem. And we should remember that, Ghana, we're not sitting in isolation. We're a country where we're dealing with the international community. So the personalities within the space of the central bank is very, very important.
Grateful. Economist, Professor Lord Mensah, truly appreciate your time speaking to us on Business Live. Let's shift focus to some other stories. Demand for Treasury bills continued to surge despite declining yields. According to auction results by the Bank of Ghana, the government recorded a 43.85% oversubscription of T-bills. There is more in this update.
The government got 10.559 billion cedis from the sale of the short-term instrument. It, however, accepted 7.650 billion cedis. A little above 6.1 billion cedis came from the 91-day T-bill. This represented about 58% of the total bid. The Treasury accepted 3.87 billion cedis. For the 182-day bill, 4.419 billion cedis were tendered. About Fred, there were no bids for the 364-day bill. Meanwhile, interest rates declined for the second week running. The yield on the 91-day bill went 40 basis points to 27.98%. VAT of the 182-day bill also dropped to 28.68% from the previous weeks of 28.89%.
Next, your stock market update. Here is research analyst with Data Bank Research, Mark Jordan Nate.
On the stock markets last week, followed by the new gold ETF, GCB Bank, and Total Energies. On the flip side, EcoBank declined to sell at 6 cedis 25 pesos. The gainers pushed up the year-to-date return of the GSE Composite Index, which advanced to 7.3%. However, the Data Bank Stock Index declined slightly with its year-to-date return at 5.84%. The new gold ETF and EcoBank dominated trading activity last week, jointly accounting for 82% of the market turnover. On our outlook for this week, we anticipate gains in ETI and Cowbank, while fan milk decline on slight selling pressures. Reporting for Joy News from Data Bank Research, this is Mark Jordan Sikanate.
So watching Business Live, we have more for you after this break. Hello again, welcome back to Business Live. The Executive Director of the Ghana Gold Expo Foundation, Dr. Stephen Aka, has made an appeal to government not to cancel the Gold for Oil program. According to him, even though there is the need to undertake a review of the policy to address challenges associated with the program, cancelling the initiative outright will not help stabilize fuel prices. He spoke to Joy Business.
I don't think the government should end the Good for Oil program, because it's clear, and at somewhere in June, the World Gold Council is inviting. I was shocked yesterday. I received an email from the World Gold Council that Ghana has been published officially, in the reserve program, and they stated that Ghana is among the top 5 countries that are practicing the domestic purchase program under the World Gold Council. And I was trying to check. In December, the central bank purchased 1 ton, which is 1,000 kilos of gold. So it means it's good, you understand. We can't stop it, but the challenge is changing of policies, changing of programs, and not bringing the right people on board is causing, because the miners are suffering. If you go to the mining site, the miners are suffering. You don't give money to one person that go and buy gold, and that person, in a way, create 20 companies with his cousins, with his friends. And the main miner that is even paying dues to the small-scale miner association is not benefiting. Galamsey will continue. You understand? The government provided, I think we helped them in 2020 to launch the mercury-free machines. The question we need to ask ourselves, has there been any audit with the mercury-free machine that was the government supported the small-scale miners? If there's been audit, can we see, it's part of the transparency policy, can we see it? 2, how many produce or extraction during the process of the gold has these machines been able to produce and sold even to PMMC?
The Minister for Transport, Joseph Bukari Nikbe, has paid a working visit to the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority's dedicated site for the licensing of commercial motorcycle business operations. The site, which is expected to run a 24-hour service, will kickstart operations after remaining infrastructure is installed. The acting chief executive of the DVLA, Julius Nikwe, took the minister around the site and some strategic locations of the authority in Accra. There is more in this report.
The visit by the Transport Minister Joseph Bukari Nikbe was to have a first-hand information about the operations of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority and assess its readiness for the 24-hour operation, beginning the necessary process to regularize the commercial motorcycle business in Ghana. After interactions with some staff, the minister inspected a dedicated portion of land allocated for the motorcycle licensing and assured that work will begin soon to get it operationalized.
So, a lot of challenges, but that is what we are looking for, so that we can sit and turn them into a reality of serving the people better. When we sit in offices and we do not visit and get to know the challenges, we will not have any issue to improve upon. So we are taking the challenges, we're going to improve upon them, so that come next year, when we are visiting this area, we will see a well-organized site for the registration, the training, and the preparation of our road users, especially the Okada and other drivers.
Chief Executive for the DVLA, Julius Nikwe, assured that the facility will be operating a non-stop 24-hour service to ensure that more people are served within a short period.
We cannot stop it. Okay. When we start, because there are many, there are a huge number of guys who are in Canada, we are not going to stop. We come, we test them, we take them through further theoretical education, we come to good practical education through over here, we take them through, we finish, we issue them the license, the Canada driving motor license. And don't be, it's not only Okada. Okay. Pragya is also part of it. Okay. I don't know how you guys call it, but the tricycle. Yeah. It's also part of both the one with the cover and the one with the bucket. They are all part of it. So this is the grounds for it. We'll get it fixed. They're going to be used for the legalization of Okada and the Pragya.
The minister also urged staff to make efforts to eliminate unwarranted delays in delivering their services.
In more business news, the Ghana Radio Astronomy Observatory faces a serious threat from land encroachment, which could lead to significant revenue losses and potential judgment debts for the country. According to Obrimpon Tukudum the 8th, project manager for the real-time facility at Varsat Station, ongoing encroachments could disrupt the observatory's operations, jeopardizing its ability to generate revenue and fulfill its research mandate.
The Ghana Radio Astronomy Observatory, launched in August 2017, is a 32-meter telecommunications dish based in Kuntunse, converted into a radio telescope with the help of South Africa and the UK. This radio telescope is part of the Square Kilometer Array project, which aims to build the world's largest radio telescope using other telescopes in African countries. But recently, the activities of encroachers is threatening the works of the facility. Speaking to journalists after a tour of the observatory, the project manager for the real-time facility at the Viasat station, Obrempong Tokudom V8, warns of a possible lawsuit against government if activities of these encroachers are not dealt with.
Before the company came, it was a cabinet decision for the company to come. Because they wanted to go to other countries. They can go to Togo, they can go to wherever. But government of Ghana take serious efforts to convince them to bring it here. And if they are paying taxes and generate a lot of revenue in terms of dollars to the country. So as encroachment gets closer, first they have an agreement with government of Ghana. So if government of Ghana is not able to protect their view for them to be able to use the facility, they can sue government for the losses. And we will also not get the revenue that we are getting every month from the American company because of this facility. And initially it was planned that we were going to have 9 such stations here. But because of the equipment, we did analysis from 2 weeks back and realized that only 4 can be hosted, which means we can have only 3 more. If your house leaves closed, you are causing the country Ghana to lose revenue. And you are putting the government in risk of litigation. Because one day, because of your cheap house, government of Ghana can involve himself in a big litigation so that the money that could have been used to construct roads for the private areas will not be used to pay judgment debt. And you will all be complaining about that judgment debt. But these are some of the activities that leads to judgment debt.
He further revealed the country might lose its status as a training center if these illegal activities persist.
This station is not only for Ghana. It's for the global SKA project, which is being hosted in Africa and Australia. Africa is hosting 70% and Australia is hosting 30%. And they have made this place the training center for up and coming astronomers. And if the trainees come and they can't do any science to teach them, they are going to lose this road to Namibia or Kenya. But those countries, they are serious. Even though we started before them, they are coming out with big projects. So if we keep encroaching and then damaging our reputation, definitely we will lose this sort as the training center for astronomy.
On his part, Dr. Joseph Bremang Tando, director of the Ghana Space Science and Technology Institute, appealed for the facility to be protected.
Ghana Radio Astronomy Observatory is a national asset. I want us all to see it like that. It's a government investment into space science and technology. It's a commitment not only Ghana but our foreign partners have made in the area of space science and technology. We need to protect this facility. GAO is a regional designated center for training. Ghana has accepted to be part of spacefaring nations. I say this because, as we speak, Ghana has approved a national space policy, which was just launched last year. What it means is this facility is part of a space policy or is part of a regulation that is being monitored by government. So we can't leave this facility to rot. And as my colleague said, the position of this facility is unique. We observe the universe. This facility is located at the equator. We have a broader view of the universe. You can't find this anywhere. And the GAO facility is the 2nd largest radio telescope in Africa. So we all need to put our hands together to protect this facility.
And that's our program for tonight. I am Pius Kojo Baka. We have more stories for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. There you go. Let's have a read. IMF begins talks with government on economy 2025 budget from today, and we're heavy on that here on Business Live. Ghana ranked 8th in Africa with best internet quality. We've got more stories for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Always a delight serving you. Let's connect at 8 p.m. with Prime Business.